Hello, viewers. Welcome to the next episode of We Talk Talent series. Those who've been following us are aware to these series we're creating a depository of insights on talent management in the post-pandemic era. I'm extremely happy to announce and to introduce the TA head for this episode. Please join me in welcoming Sneha Bathwal. Sneha heads talent acquisition at InMobi and is responsible for driving the hiring and employer branding agenda for InMobi across 17 countries. Sneha comes with more than 14 years of experience and in the past has helped leadership hiring charters with companies like Hydrick and Struggles and Ola. Welcome to this show, Sneha. So happy to have you here.
Hey Pooja, thank you so much.
Sneha, you represent the internet industry, which is relatively a new sector and lavishly depends on latest technologies and motivated talent to innovate business models, products, and services. Since this sector is rapidly growing, meeting your talent requirement is far from easy. To that point, what is the InMobi story that you would like to share in the job market?
Sure, Pooja. So as an organization, we actually thrive on innovation. For the last 13 years that InMobi has been in existence, we've been disrupting the entire global ad tech industry. And in fact, we are proud to be a team of 1,200 InMobians spread across 17 countries, all the way from North America, China, India, Southeast Asia, Australia, EMEA. And the core, the bedrock of our success has really been innovation. And we really learned this very early on, right? That innovative thinking happens when you're not afraid to fail. With that in mind, what we have developed as our core philosophy as a way of life at InMobi is what we call as Springboard. The core of this philosophy is the belief that the key to success is constant self-development and taking those big leaps of faith outside of your comfort zone. So, as a company, we encourage our InMobians, every InMobian, to attempt something new, something that they've never done. In fact, we also run an exclusive program which enables the employees to work with the department of their choice for a few months. This doesn't just help them understand how their department functions, but it also helps them understand whether they would like to pursue that as their long term career track. And there are just so many people we have at InMobi who've moved across functions from revenue leading roles to HR, from marketing to product management, from engineering to data science, and so on. In fact, we really take pride in saying that one out of every three or four in Mobian have spent more than 5 years with us, and that's not very usual, right, in the new age company especially.
Sure. Definitely not in the internet industry sector. I assume, people just move on very rapidly in this industry. And it is really exciting to know, what kind of opportunities you're creating for your workforce, cross-functional movements and mobility. It's really, really exciting to hear that. Today, the most important thing is an employer's reputation to attract talent, and it is essential that the prospective employees perceives a company or an employer in a desirable manner. To that point, what are the key attributes of your employer branding strategy?
So, as a company, we strongly believe, Pooja, that any business succeeds because of its people. We are focusing on two very specific things as part of our talent branding strategy. First is redefining our employer brand position. Over the years, InMobi has evolved to be a truly global company with presence across so many different countries. So, one of our major focuses is how do we establish our employer brand as a global company instead of an Indian company with global presence? And that has meant a huge shift in the change in our own minds. It has just made us unlearn and rethink how we adapt to the global talent needs, how we ensure that we continue to be a great place to work. So that is one. And the second is we have a philosophy of showcasing and celebrating success of our people. So apart from the opportunities that we've created internally, whether it is through milestone celebrations, peer-to-peer recognition, welcoming new InMobians on social media. We're also taking a lot of employee stories out so that the larger talent landscape can know what is it like to work at InMobi.
Very interesting, Sneha, and you rightly pointed out. So, if I were to make a search on InMobi, the first thing that comes out is it's an Indian international company, and very rarely you see that kind of a description of a company. So, it's great to know that there is like a influx of cultures also because of the international
Yeah.
presence of InMobi. Um, Candidate experience is at the core of employer branding. It is very important that even before employees join your organization, they get to see your culture, get to know more about the company. Given that everything is happening virtually right now, how are you leveraging candidate experience, and what is your strategy?
So, Pooja, we've actually defined a robust candidate life cycle, and it has matured over a period of time. And it starts with all the way from the time we receive an application or a recruiter reaches out to a candidate, all the way to interview experience, offer stage, post offer engagement, pre onboarding, and also post onboarding. And we run everything right now through our ATS. What we also do is provide a very clear assessment framework to our panel members so that they exactly know what they need to evaluate for every candidate against that role, and then feedback gets captured on the ATS for every interview. And this just helps us stay objective and arrive at faster decision making. Eventually leads to a great candidate experience.
It's amazing that the digital tools are really enabling us to create a great communication network. And like you said that you're using ATS to also keep the candidates warm. It's very interesting times, I believe, that we are living in.
Yeah.
So what metrics do you follow to evaluate and assess candidate experience? Do you have KPIs for hiring managers in this regard?
Sure. So every candidate who goes through the InMobi hiring process is asked to participate in a survey right after they finish their conversations with us, where we ask them to give us feedback on how their overall interview experience was. And we collect data on very basic things like, did the interview start on time? Did the quality of questions, how were the quality of questions? Whether the hiring managers provided clarity on the roles, the overall flow of the conversation. And the metric that we predominantly follow on candidate experience is the candidate NPS, the Net Promoter Score. Uh, on your second question, which is whether we have KPIs for hiring managers on this, we don't have a quantitative KPI for hiring managers. However, the core expectation we have set is we treat a candidate like how we would treat an employee. And all of that learnings that we have through the survey responses, we eventually end up using them to enhance the candidate experience as we go along.
Interesting, Sneha. So, how are you training your managers to, conduct virtual interviews? Because this has happened to us suddenly. Now, of course, it's been a year and a half, and everybody is experienced, and they can watch out for signs, and there are other factors that help in virtual interviews. But what is the process you followed in your organization to train the hiring managers?
So right now, what we do is, Pooja, we provide training time to time so that anybody who's a new hiring manager who's hiring for the first time and hiring a team for the first time, they basically go through a training so that they understand, the basic principles of hiring. How do you conduct yourself? How do you ask behavioral questions? So those are pieces that we do. Apart from that, we also have a shadow model at InMobi where an experienced interviewers basically a new interviewer shadows an experienced interviewer at the time of actually an interview happening, and that just helps them understand real time on what is going on, what are the questions you ask, what do you do when a candidate asks you questions, how do you conduct yourself, and it just helps us do that.
It's really amazing. I feel the biggest learnings happen on the job. How much ever you have courses and materials, but what you learn while working or shadowing, nothing like it. So my last question to you, Sneha, is that what kind of skilling programs do you have in your organization? Generally, what does your L&D structure looks like? I know you are a TA head, and L&D could be a separate function. But generally, what are the kind of skills maybe you look for when you're hiring employees? So is it technology skills or soft skills? So just some insights on skills.
Sure. It's different for different roles, right? And it's not something that is unanimously the same skill across. So if it is a sales role, it's going to be a combination of sales plus behavioral. If it is a technical role, again, if it is a people leadership role, we have our leadership traits against which we evaluate. If it is a product role, there's a different process. So it is absolutely customized based on what the role is, based on the seniority of the role, based on what the role really requires. And accordingly, then our entire assessment framework changes.
Interesting. I'm just getting a little greedy. I'll ask you one last question. What is the biggest challenge you faced after the pandemic? And what has been your one learning because of that?
So from a talent acquisition perspective, one of the biggest challenges we faced was it was very easy for us to have candidates come into our office and experience our culture. And because InMobi as an organization has a very, very open culture. And as soon as you walk into the office, you can see that we have an open office. We have people sitting on the floor. Our founders are right there. Freshers are right there. And, you just have those smaller groups of people chit-chatting and, brainstorming. So as soon as a new person, a new candidate walks in, it's very easy to pass on that vibe of what InMobi is like. The biggest challenge we've been facing is how do we translate that vibe into new prospective candidates in a virtual environment? And I would say just from a hiring perspective, that's something that has been a new challenge that we've experienced. How we are solving for it, I would say it's still a journey, but some of the pieces that we've started working on are how do we ensure our hiring managers are going that extra mile in walking them through different experiences? How do we ensure that the recruiters are going the extra mile in walking them through our culture? How is it that the HR business partners are having that extra conversation, walking them through what we are truly on our values and our leadership style? So those are things that we've done so far to be able to address that.
And I must confess, Neha, this has also been majorly a challenge for most TA heads. So we interview one TA head each week, and most of them have raised this as the biggest challenge. Virtually, it is difficult for them to showcase their organization workplace culture, the fun offices that most companies have. But definitely, InMobi looks like an extremely fun place. It looks like a lean organization where employees work the way they want to work. There is creativity, innovation, opportunities for them. So it was really great to have you for this We Talk Talent series. Thank you for taking part in that.
Thank you so much, Pooja. Thanks for having me over.